Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me. One or two technical issues today. I'll own that. Can somebody just let me know in the chat or the comments that you can see and hear me okay? Fabulous. Thank you, Rach. It's good to see you again. So before we begin today, I'd like to put today's session into context because today's session isn't simply about improving your business. It's helping you become the leader that your future business needs. Because after nearly 40 years in business, yes, I'm that old, I'm a bit of a fossil. Nearly 20 of those years was coaching business owners. I've become convinced of something. Businesses don't usually stop growing because they've run out of opportunities. They stop growing because the business owner hasn't yet become the person capable of leading it to the next stage of its growth. And that's what I want to explore today. So over the past few weeks, and particularly the past few days, we've spoken about the hidden operating system that runs every single business. So we've talked about the true cost of delay in decisions. We talked about calendars and how your diary is actually a lie detector. We talked about how profit always leaves clues. Now, on the surface, they might seem like completely different subjects. One's about decision making, one's about time, one's about finance. But I've come to realize that they're really asking the same question, and they all come back to the person leading the business, because every business challenge eventually becomes a leadership challenge, which means that underneath every one of those conversations sits a much bigger question. Who are you becoming? Last week, I listened to a conversation about the idea of personal best. And it really got me thinking, not because it was about becoming the best in the world, not because it was about perfection, because it was about becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Just a little bit better, just 1% better. Because if your business is a reflection of you, and it is, then every improvement you make as a leader gives your business the opportunity to improve too. That leads me nicely into a question. Are you becoming the person your future business needs you to become? Are you becoming the person your future business needs you to become? Because businesses don't suddenly become more successful. The owner does, and the business simply follows. So that's why I believe personal best isn't something that you achieve, it's something you become. And for that reason, I think probably most business owners have been asking themselves the wrong question, because they might be asking, how do I grow my business? And I think the question needs to be more like, how do I grow into the person capable of leading a business that I want to create? How do I grow into the person capable of leading a business that I want to create? Because your business is always a reflection of you. So for instance, if you were to improve your decisions, your business is going to improve. If your confidence improves, your team will improve. If your leadership improves, your culture is going to improve. The business is simply a mirror. And that's why today's conversation isn't really about business, it's about you. Now, one of the biggest lessons I ever learned was that you don't grow your business grows you. Think back to when you first started. Maybe it was just you. You did everything. You did sales, marketing, operations, finance, maybe even the cleaning. You did the lot. Then one day you might have hired someone. And once you'd hired someone, it required a different version of you. Now later, perhaps your business grown a fair amount, and you needed to hire up to 10 people because you've realized that you couldn't solve every problem yourself. And that meant then that you needed to learn to trust people. You needed to learn to communicate better. You needed to learn to lead better. And the truth is that every stage of business growth has demanded a different version of you. And a business didn't get there first. You did. Anytime, let me just go back. Anytime that you might have declined the offer to grow, you'll find that your business stopped growing as well. So maybe you've noticed that, maybe you've experienced this thing called plateaus. Sometimes sales grind to a halt, profit stalls, the team might lose momentum. Now, when those types of things happen, most owners immediately look outside. They look outside to the market, to the economy, to the competition. And I want something or someone to blame, or they might be looking for an excuse for the situation they're in. But often the real issue is much closer to home. It's more a case of, have I become the leader needed to take this business to the next stage of business growth? Now, I have been asked, why do I think businesses get stuck? And my answer is always the same. Businesses don't get stuck. It's thinking that gets stuck. And when that happens, the owner keeps making yesterday's decisions, using yesterday's habits, leading yesterday's business, while expecting tomorrow's results. That's impossible, because every level of business growth requires a new identity. Think about your own life. There are probably conversations you're quite happy to have today that you might have been terrified of having 5 years ago. Why is that? Because you've changed. Imagine for a second you've got, if you were to apply that same principle, that same concept into every single area of your business: sales, pricing, recruitment, cash flow, leadership, delegation. You think about it, every breakthrough becomes where you becoming, not doing. Now, I mentioned before about the hidden operating system that's running every business. And the hidden operating system is the beliefs, it's the habits, it's the thinking, and it's the decision maker of the owner. And what often happens is that people think they've got a business problem, when in actual fact, they've got an operating system problem. So for a second, just imagine you've got two business owners facing exactly the same challenge. One might see huge opportunities. The other might see problems ahead. The circumstances are identical. The operating system is different. So your results don't come from what happens to you. They come from how you interpret what happens to you, which is fabulous, because that means that if you improve the owner's operating system, we improve the business. And that's exactly what personal best is about. It's about becoming, not achieving. And 1% better than yesterday, well, that's just awesome. Now, towards the end of every coaching session, something I love to ask every coaching client is, what's your momentum move for this week? What's your momentum move for this week? Not 20 things, not 50 things, just one thing. One meaningful improvement. So that might be something like that one conversation that we've been avoiding. That might be creating one new habit. It might be one decision that needs to be made. Because if you improve one meaningful thing every single week, imagine where you're going to be in 12 months from now, with 52 meaningful improvements in place. And that happens not because you've decided to work harder, but because you've become better. And there's the thing, small improvements repeated consistently create extraordinary businesses. Now, this is one of the reasons why I created the Confident Roadmap. And people assume the Confident Roadmap is just a roadmap to grow a business. It isn't. Because as well as being a roadmap for growing a business, it does do that. It's also a roadmap for becoming the leader who can grow a business. So every stage is asking you the same question. Who do I need to become next? So for instance, step one of the roadmap, the C, is clarity. Becoming clear about the life you're building and what the business needs to provide for you to create that. Step 2 is obstacles. Become aware of what's holding you back and what could hold you back tomorrow. Step 3 is navigation. Become intentional instead of reacting. Step 4 is finance. Become a leader who understands the numbers well enough to make informed financial decisions. Step 5 is income. Become a business that consistently creates value for the right customers, your ideal customers. Step 6 is delivery. Become a leader who builds systems instead of solving every problem personally. Step 7 is evaluation. Become a leader who understands that you can't improve what you don't measure. Step 8 is nurture. Become a leader who people genuinely want to follow. And then step 9 is thrive, which is become the kind of leader whose business creates freedom instead of owner dependency. Now, notice something. Every step of that map starts with you becoming, and the business simply follows. So today, I'd encourage you to ask yourself 3 questions. The first being, who do I need to become over the next 12 months? Who do I need to become over the next 12 months? Not what do I need to do, who do I need to become? And question 2 is, what's the one habit that's preventing me from my next personal best? What's the one habit that's preventing me from my next personal best? And then question 3 is, what's one decision I've been avoiding that my future self wishes I'd made today? What's one decision I've been avoiding that my future self wishes I'd made today? Because it's something I've noticed. Avoided decisions become really expensive decisions. And the longer we delay them, the more expensive they become. Looking back over my own career, I owned bars, restaurants, and hotels. There was a time where my pretty much normal working week early in my career was roughly 80 to 90 hours a week. I do remember a period where I was working over 100 hours a week. That had become the norm for a few weeks. At that time, I believed that that was making me successful, but it didn't. It made me blinking exhausted, actually. And the biggest breakthrough for me wasn't earning more money. It wasn't opening another business. It wasn't employing more people. It was becoming the type of leader who could build a business that didn't depend on me being there every minute of the day. And eventually I was able to get to a point where I was running a business that was worth over £3 million, turning over, more than £3 million a year. We had a team of 95 people working for me. I was doing a lot less than 20 hours a week. Now, that didn't happen because I'd suddenly found the magic formula for building a business. It happened because I'd become a different person. I was making different decisions. I was trusting people more. I was building systems. I was developing leaders. And then the business reflected who I'd become. Okay, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Your future business already exists. The question is, does your future version of you exist yet? Because every great business is built twice. First in the mind of the leader, then in reality. So this week, don't just ask, how can I improve my business? Ask, how can I become the leader my future business deserves? How can I become the leader that my future business deserves? Because your personal best isn't a finish line. It's a decision you make every single day. Every better decision creates a better habit. Every better habit creates a better leader. Every better leader creates a better business. And eventually, without even noticing it, you become the person that your future business was waiting for. Now, if today's conversation has made you realize that perhaps the business isn't actually the thing that's holding you back, and you'd like to explore what your next personal best could look like, I'd be delighted to help you. Just drop me a message or follow the comment in the link, or follow the link in the comments, and let's arrange a conversation where together we'll identify where you are today where you want to be, and perhaps most importantly, who do you need to become to get there? Okay, thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on next week's live. It's at the same time, same place, by the way. But in the meantime, have a fun and really profitable time.